Gathered friends, listen one last time to our legend of the Bionicle. Here we are with a final episode of Gathered Friends from the G2 saga with our special guest, Ryder Windham.
Hello.
And of course, today we have Josie, Levi, and filling in for Chip today, who unfortunately couldn't make it, is Lena.
We're going to pull our butts out of the fire on this, make sure we don't embarrass the entire Bionicle community in front of our very good boy, Ryder Windham.
Don't worry, I already have.
Done that already.
Anyways, since we're a little bit behind scheduled, let's just jump right into it, shall we?
So first, Mr. Windham, I would like to start by just saying how much of an honor it is to just talk with you, be in your presence in general, because you really just breathe life into G2 as a whole, and you're actually the reason that I'm a Bionicle fan in the first place.
Ryder?
Have
we lost him already to the volume?
Oh no.
So, when we left off, Lena, are you still here?
Yes, I am still here.
Lena, you were saying some very kind things about my work, and how to put this, freelance writers work largely, I think, in isolation, or at least I do, and so that I don't always, I mean, sometimes I'll read forums and whatnot to see, did people like it? Did they enjoy it? But you told me that my work seemed to be an introduction to Lego Bionicle for you. I mean that's it's humbling. I'm glad you enjoyed them so much.
And I can promise you, she's not the only one.
I definitely enjoyed the books as well. I enjoyed the last one the most personally, just because it definitely showed the as mentioned earlier on in previous interviews and by Lena, some of the first books heavily had to rely on the cartoons, which didn't have the best writing to work off of, and I feel very bad that you were restrained to working with that.
I was working with two different editors, one at Scholastic and one at, oh goodness, Little Brown. Initially, it was the editor at Scholastic who contacted me, asked if I would be interested in working on Lego Bionicle stories. And Lego provided me with what they referred to as a story Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And I read through it and I realized Lego's story, I wouldn't say it was bad at all. But I would say that they'd already come up with an entire story. They had a story, it's like it begins here and it ends there. And it's always a tricky thing because I am a freelance writer. I want to work, I want to please the client, and I don't want to get fired.
Right.
But what I saw was that I thought, like, well, what if someone is buying these Lego toys and they or the Bionicle toys, and they want to create their own spin-off stories on their own fan fiction.
Mm-hmm.
And it just seemed that there was very little opportunity for that, because the trajectory of the story was, here is the story that we have. I mean, it would almost be like saying, here's the Star Wars trilogy. And I was given these screenplays and I said, well, what happens off screen and what happens in between the movies? And the response would be, oh, nothing. Well, there are no blanks to be filled in. So I tried to explain. It's like, okay, if all I'm doing is adapting a cartoon, that's a very limited experience. You want to, you want to give the audience something new, something different. Based on many years of working on Star Wars books, that I'm kind of used to dealing with, that's sort of a challenge.
Right.
So, for me, I was very pleased that Lego allowed me to elaborate on different histories and different characters.
I feel like a lot of the limitations of G2 were a direct response to how out of control the story of G1 kind of spiraled with Greg Farshtey writing it.
I have no idea, and I may get in trouble for saying this. I mean, I read one of Greg Farshtey's books, maybe like over 20 years ago, I guess, or about 20 years ago. When the call came to me, or my editor contacted me about the reboot for Bionicle, I was told, it's like, okay, this is a fresh start. It's a total reboot. The characters have lost their memories. They don't remember what has transpired. Here's the story Bible. So, I mean, a bunch of people said, oh, so does this mean you have to read up all the, and I said, no, I don't have to read the history of anything. I'm just working with what I have right here. Mm-hmm. So I can't really say, what was their planning. I think definitely they wanted to give it a fresh start. Mm. But I think that it probably would have been beneficial to them if Lego had thought of it, I think, as more of an ongoing saga, mm-hmm. as opposed to a limited storyline. I think that would it have worked better? I don't know. I mean, yeah. Would more toys have sold because of that? Again, I don't know. I think that it's
what you're describing sounds to me like Power Rangers, and that's doing pretty well.
One thing I just wanted to mention quickly.
Final Fantasy does incredibly well, and the only thing linking those together is the presence of chickens.
Sorry, Josie, I just wanted to mention something. One of our viewers in chat mentioned, I think Mr. Windham would have liked working on G1. And I was told by Lena earlier that you were actually at one point scheduled to work on G1, were you not?
Oh, yeah, it was a brief thing. And that's why, I mean, I'm pretty sure that it was around 2000 or 2001 that editor at Scholastic contacted me, asked if I'd be interested in working on this Lego Bionicle property. Editor sent me, maybe it was an initial story Bible. I mean, a lot of reference materials. Mm-hmm. I think even some comic books, which had appeared at a convention somewhere. So I had a lot of visual material and reference material. I'd spent a few days reading all of this and had a conference call set up with the editor. And she called me and apologized and said, sorry, this, it's just fallen through. It looks like Greg Farsky is going to be working on all of the books. But as far as
they didn't tell you before they already hired Greg? Oh, that's awful.
See, that's just it. I think at the time, I can only imagine how all that went down. For all I know, there may have been subsequent discussions. Because I worked as an editor, a comic book editor years ago. I mean, I know the editorial perspective is such that you don't want one person to, if you have a licensed property, it's very dangerous to allow, say, a single writer to be dedicated to a big project, mm-hmm. because what happens if something, what happens if you want to get 3 issues out at 1 month instead of, just a single issue? What if there's a lot of buildup? What if you want to do a spin-off novel, where you think, okay, one person can maybe only handle so much, but if you have deadlines, that could be a problem. So, in any event, what the editor told me, it's like, okay, I'm out of the running. I thought, well, yeah, that's disappointing to me because I'd spent a few days reviewing the material, but it was entirely beyond my control, and also mm-hmm. I hadn't even started writing anything. I hadn't started writing an outline or getting, I can't even recall, did I have any story ideas? I don't think I'd even gotten that far. I was just reviewing, I was reading the material. So yeah, that was my initial introduction to Bionicle. But that, so when, nearly, I forget what it was, 18 or I don't know, 17 years later, something like that, where it came back to me and I thought, wait, are we on the level? Really? You want to work with me? So, but I was delighted. I thought, it was nice to have another opportunity, and when I was totally enjoying working on the books and the comics. So when I got word that Lego was essentially ending production of or the series, I mean, it was crushing to me.
All the decade-long build-up in G1 and all they came up with What if the small robot hit the big robot with a big rock, and that's how it ended? Your take on Bionicle was ended just as abruptly.
It was abrupt, but that when it ended, I was, if memory serves, because I don't mean to sound like give me a jerk when I say that when I'm done with a project, I'm usually thinking about the next project and working and concentrating on that. I very rarely look back.
Totally understandable.
And it's not like, oh, I'm a shark, I have to keep moving forward. It's not like that. It's just that. But as I recall, I was not working. I mean, whatever project I had delivered to, whether it was a script for a comic or one of the juvenile novels. Whatever it was, I mean, I delivered it. I was paid for it.
Right. That there was a third graphic novel that was announced and then later canceled.
Yeah, but it's again, I can't. All I remember is that I was paid for the work that I did, and I don't think that there was any work. I mean, although something may have been announced, I don't have any secret lingering scripts that were never published. There's nothing that that I could recall, because I would have remembered that, but it was crushing to me because I really did enjoy working on them and was hoping to continue through for a while. So it was a surprise to me. I think that
It was a surprise to a lot of us.
Yeah, I got messages from Lego Bionicle fans that were, it was almost like, oh goodness, like, messages of mourning and outrage. But again, I thought, it's so beyond my control that I can't worry about it. Can I hope that maybe sometime in the future go and various editors remember me as somebody who did his best? I mean, if it disappointed anyone, I'm sorry, but I really just
If there was any disappointment to be had, it was most certainly not on your hands.
Okay, but I think my job is to please the client, to meet the deadlines, and I hope always also to entertain the audience, the readers. So you're making me sad all over again that it was canceled. I hadn't really, I really hadn't thought about it in a while. I mean, and just like sort of as an aside, recently an editor contacted me about working on yet another Star Wars book. I wrote a Star Wars book last year, or I think I worked on 3 last year. It's like just a few weeks ago, I was going through my library and reference books, and I'm thinking, maybe it's about time to sell these Star Wars books, because I haven't gotten an offer in a long time, and these things are just taking up space. So, granted, it's also there's a pandemic going on.
Yeah,
and I'm thinking
very bad time to do just about anything.
My as much as I enjoy working on projects, I'm not long-term affectionate, because I can't afford to be. I just think, no, it's a job and it's assignment. And if Lego were to come back and say, Ryder, we'd love to work with you and help us develop something that could lead to, how do you think we could do something that's might work on an ongoing basis? Would be, I'd enjoy that conversation. But on the other hand, if it's just like, okay, we're coming out with this thing, we want you to write an adaptation of this. It's like, well, I can do that too. I have that experience. So anyway, I'm flexible, but I'm not very sentimental. It's more, it's more. I'm maybe kind of passionate about a project while I'm working on it, but then very into it, very professional about it when it's done, and if it's not leading to more work, I can't help but thinking, okay, that's taking up room in my office, or I have to,
and in your mind too, because it's good to retain focus on what's presently on the docket.
Right, yeah. So when thinking back, because I have not reread my own books. I don't look at them unless there's a reason for it. Unless I have to, I'm working on some new project. I have to remember, where did that character, who did he talk to at that place? Or, I have to look it up. That when I think about, if you were to ask, what's your like most significant contribution to Lego Bionicle, I would say probably the sidekicks, the Toa,
The
Protectors?
Oh, thank you, the Protectors. Yeah, in the story Bible that I had, there was.
They
the
didn't even
Protector
have
of Stone.
names.
They did not. They did not have names. There was like the Protector of Stone, Protector of Fire, and I wasn't in a big huff about it. But I said, well, are there names for these characters? Nope, they are the Protectors. And I said, well,
Oh dear.
if I'm writing these stories and it's just like the Protector of Stone looked over his shoulder or her shoulder, I just remembered thinking, it's like it would be a lot easier if they had names. And what memory serves, I think that it was Protector of Stone. I made that character a female.
That was Earth.
Is that right?
The Protector of Earth, and we don't blame you for misremembering, because
Thank you.
It was a
They
long
are
time
very
ago.
generic.
Okay, so Protector
nobody
of Earth,
to this day, nobody knows why they separated Stone and Earth in the Bionicle. It's lost to time.
I never questioned.
It was a decision made early on in G1. They were going to do just the 4 classical elements: Earth, Wind, Fire, Air, and then Lego was like, "We want to do 6. Can you split? Can you make 6?" And it was I guess that was so last minute. The best it could come up with was split water into water and ice, and Earth into Earth and less Earth.
Yeah,
no one knows why, but you did the best. You did the best you could.
The thing, I didn't know the backstory of Lego wanting to add more characters back then, but when I saw, I looked at the character designs. So for Protector of, I thought I want at least one of the Protectors to be female. I thought because Gali was or is it Gali? I don't know. The Protector of the Toa water.
Yeah.
Right. That I thought, okay, so you give a female sidekick, that would be kind of like Wonder Woman and Wonder Girl, and that's to me it just struck me as like a lame idea. So when I looked at again, I was dismissing my own thoughts. Is like, no, that would be lame if you did that.
It is quite something that it is quite a good idea that you decided against that, though, because in G1, all the blue ones were female, and they were the only females for the most part.
They introduced more females later, and they were still blue.
Okay. Yeah, I did not know, but I knew that if not a lame choice, an obvious choice maybe would have been to have a female sidekick for this female character. I looked at the character designs, and the Protector of Earth, I just thought, it's a tough looking character. I think the shoulders are broader. I mean, it's just the weapon, there was something there, the tool, that weapon digger thing. And I just looked and I thought, why not? Why not make that Protector of Earth a female? Because, and there's, without any suggested that, Lego accepted it. They didn't say, we think maybe it would be better to do this, or why not have that character instead? I mean, the fact that they were immediately open to that idea, I thought, good on Lego. That was just, they liked it. One thing they did that, and I can't remember at what stage they did it, that Lego provided me with a essentially like a character name creator system. How to put this? It's like, imagine something that is like a pronunciation key combined with a word building system. So that they said, okay, here are the sounds phonetically, a list of like letter combinations that you can string into any number of combinations in order to build names for characters. And that came in handy. I mean, it was kind of funny because I think what they were doing was they wanted to try to. I know that there had been some dispute with the first Bionicle series about the names of characters. Or, well, forgive me,
the Maori controversy in 2001.
Yeah. Okay, right. I mean, because I never read or reread those books. All I knew was like there was some controversy about the naming.
It was after
knew,
that
okay,
that
it was
Lego
probably
decided
best
that pretty
to
much
not
every
name
name
any
they made had
characters,
to go through
not using any real world language as a source. So for the protectors, if I remember right, I did make up the names of the protectors. However, were secondary characters, or then the story I wrote one of the graphic novel stories has the protectors from ages earlier.
And I think on that note, we should probably wrap things up here. So, any final thoughts, everyone?
It was nice talking to you.
My only final thoughts are that you will not escape the fanfic requests now. Made an offer like that.
That is very true.
Okay,
it's okay. There are some rich Bionicle fans.
I can only imagine, just as far as the fan fiction community or how that works. I guess from a legal standpoint, my concern is just, someone.
Oh, just file off the trademarks. You should be fine.
Oh, right. That's it. Yeah, everybody would be happy. Change my name. Right.
This character isn't Tahu. He's my original character, Tahu.
Right. The next thing you know, it's 50 Shades of Bionicle. Yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, dear.
I would love that. I would absolutely love that.
Of course you would. Oh, dear. On that note, I think that should just about do it for today. Thank you so much for coming onto the stream and putting up with all these technical issues and everything. And thank you, chat, for putting up with all the technical issues as well. I know it wasn't exactly as easy to get running as we could have been, but we managed eventually. That's what matters.
It was a pleasure.
At least we're not Sega.
We'll see. We'll be right back in a few minutes with some tabletop simulators. So we will see you guys again shortly.
Just shout out to Guillermo in the chat. Notices your elemental energy.
God damn it.